And so our first speaker tonight is someone who many of you know, Walter Ritte. In 1975, when Walter was a young man, he teamed up with some other young men from the island of Molokai, George Helm, Emmett Aluli, Charlie Maxwell, and others. And they decided to take back the island of Kaho'olawe from the military, who had been using it as a bombing range. And they were successful. Walter has been a tireless champion for Hawaiian rights, the rights of communities, the vai, the water, the aina, the land, both on Molokai and all across the state. Stopping big cruise ships from docking on Molokai, or saving the precious and lovely lands of La'au, or speaking out on the idea of no ownership of life, has occupied Walter's time over the past years. And so, Walter, I'd just like to mahalo you and your ohana. Your invaluable experience has helped to change the course of history in Hawaii. So please, a warm welcome for Walter Ritte.
You know, this battle we have now with GMOs, I remember taking on the United States military, and I thought that was like, yeah, we'll go do that. That's how naive we were, you know, it's like, no problem. And we went on the island, we came off the island, and the judge says, you cannot go back on the island. And we said, well, until the president comes and talks to us, we're going to go back on the island. And we really thought that that was going to get the president to come and talk to us. That's our mindset back then when we were younger. And today, this GMO issue, a lot of people have been asking me, wow, you've been doing Hawaiian issues all your life. What are you doing with GMOs? You know, and I didn't even think about that, you know, and I think, wow, you know, but GMOs is the most important destructive thing that is happening to our islands today. And that is the reason I'm getting involved and dedicating my life to GMOs. And people are having a hard time making that connection, but for me it was an easy connection to make. And the day I made it was on this campus, when somebody came and told us that they had GMO'd our taro. And I went, whoa. Because society has gone to a point where things had no sacredness. Everything was up for grabs. Profit had the freedom to go anywhere at any time and do anything they wanted to do. Free enterprise had gone amok. They had come into our culture, and they're taking a plant. That's what they said. It's just a plant. And for myself, it was, we had to say something, because for us, it was part of our family. It was not only part of our family, but it was the eldest brother. And nobody had the, I don't know what word to use, but nobody even thought about getting permission from the Hawaiian people to genetically modify part of our family. So I thought we had gone so far to the right or so far to the left that times are becoming very dangerous for us as Hawaiians. So I forgot all about this, but he just reminded me about what happened when we found out about the taro. We ended up at the brand new building of this institution. I think it was the medical building they had just built. And all of the regents were going to be having a meeting. And we had constantly tried to have the regents tear up the patents that they had put on our taro that they had GMO'd. So, Hano, Ua, and a whole bunch of people, charter schools, came, and we chained the doors. We chained the doors of the new building, and the regents could not have their meeting. I'm telling you this because that was the only thing that, because they were so engrossed in all of the things that they were doing that we were talking, we had a march, we were doing protests, we were doing all kinds of things. Nothing penetrated. So when the doors were chained, we had a chance to talk to them. And we had our boys with the kapu sticks, and we told them, you need to respect the Hawaiian culture, and we're willing to open the kapu sticks as soon as we're finished talking with you, and as soon as we get this agreement that you're going to tear up your patents, and you're not going to GMO our taro anymore. And it worked. This institution was the first institution to sign a memorandum of agreement that they will not GMO any more taro, and that they actually, well, they gave it to us, and we tore up all of the patents that they had done on the taro. So I'm here tonight as a grassroots person from the community. And basically everything that is happening here tonight is part of a grassroots effort from many communities, from many islands that have put all of this together. From Kauai to Maui to Molokai to Lanai to Hawaii, we've all come together. And this has had nothing to do with the government, it has nothing to do with anything else except a grassroots effort. And I'm really proud to be part of all of this. Right now, we have a very major problem. The corporations have become so powerful in the state that when we went to the state capitol and we tried to tell the same story that we told the University of Hawaii, and they responded, they wouldn't even give us a hearing. We couldn't even discuss with them the impacts that was happening to us as their constituents. They wouldn't hear it. The health impacts of eating their food, and more importantly, the impacts on our land, the impacts on our drinking water, the impacts of our air, of our reefs. Nobody in this state is addressing that because these people are farming on the outside islands, on these small little islands on thousands of acres. I was here at the university in my younger days. I did some studying, but they taught us that farming was actually farming the soil, not trying to grow the plants, but you need to take care of your soil. If you come to the island of Molokai, what you're going to see is bare red dirt, thousands of acres of bare red dirt. Ag 101, cover crops. You never leave your soil bare. That was 101, best management practices. These companies are so arrogant that they don't follow any best management practices. We have to live with the dust. Can you imagine the island of Oahu needs cheap electricity. So they came to our island and said, you guys got so much wind, we're going to put up windmills and help out the problem on Oahu with electricity. We have a very windy island, thousands of acres. Imagine, you have to imagine this because I don't know if you can even picture it. Thousands of acres of red dirt on a windy, windy island. When we grew pineapple on Molokai, they plowed the fields once every 5 years because they would grow the same crop. They call it ratoon crops over and over. They didn't have to plow the field. Now they plow our fields 4 to 5 times a year. The soil gets finer and finer as they keep plowing it and plowing it. They are turning our island, our precious soil, into a dust bowl. And in that dust, I've learned some words from today. Dicambra, 2,4-D, Roundup, stuff that nobody would ever feed their children. That's what's in our soil. When the soil gets picked up by those dust devils on Molokai and all of the strong winds, it floats in the air. I wish Mercy was up here and tell you what the impacts were on her kids. The story of the impacts on the people who are living next to these farmers need to be told. I'm not used to talking, so I'm gonna end it because I'm looking at all of you and I'm thinking to myself, wow, even if just half of you came down to the legislature, man, just half of you came down to the legislature. You know, there's some of us, we've been going there, and they say, oh, just a bunch of hippies and some Lolo guys who live out in the country. They don't know what they're talking about. You know, so they don't listen. And at the same time, they're being visited by huge money-making lobbyists that go there every day. So you tell me who they're going to listen to. The Lolo hippies and the Yoko locals from the countryside, or all these guys in suits that not only have words, but they have something else. We have been having a horrible time convincing our legislators the seriousness of this problem. And we cannot tell our story on Molokai because nobody can see it, nobody believes it. So, I'm looking out there and I'm drooling. I'm drooling, I'm going, wow. So, I got orders from my son to tell you all that at 8:30 tomorrow morning, we're going to meet right outside here at Bachman Hall, and we are going to march to the legislature tomorrow morning. And I have a really strange feeling that the amount of people that are in here, we're going to have very close to that many people ending up at our rally, because after we march, we're going to be at the opening of our legislative session where we went there last year, and they wouldn't even talk to us. They wouldn't give us a hearing. They wouldn't do anything to do with GMOs. This year, we have a bill that we're going to introduce for labeling. And not only are we going to have a hearing, we are going to have a labeling bill in Hawaii this year. So I'm making those bold statements because I'm thinking, hey, at least 40% of these guys in here are going to come, you know? So I'm like, without you, we cannot do this. With you, we are going to end up with a labeling bill and be a leader in the United States of America on gaining control over GMOs in the United States. if you believe it, it's going to be done. And you just show that you believe it, and this thing is going to get done. So I want to say again, to the person that's going to give all of us credibility in this story of GMOs, Vandana, Shiva, mahalo, mahalo, mahalo.
So mahalo, Walter, and mahalo for telling the story of Molokai. Last week on the internet, there was a YouTube that was circulating through the Soil and Water Conservation District, and it was a YouTube of the Dust Bowl of the red dust on Molokai. And it really did look quite like the 1930s in the United States. And I think everyone that was statewide on the Soil and Water Conservation Boards got a whole new look at something. And you know, one other thing is that when it rains and that soil runs off and runs down on top of the reef and kills the reef, then the people of Molokai cannot fish for their food. So mahalo for reminding us and for asking us to join you tomorrow morning and to be a catalyst for change. Thank you.